All right, there we go. 1 second though. A couple more things to get going. Shouldn't be more than a minute. Yes, but I need to mute your butt. Control panel, of course, is muted. Cool. So that's going. These are all the bots that always hop in through Twitch. So you're seeing a lot of that. Okay. Did I not? I thought I. Yeah, I most definitely did. Not with that. Oh, no. This. This is what I meant. Oh, okay, maybe that's interesting. Okay. So all the welcomes are primarily for robots. That's alright. As long as everything works. Good there? Alright. Okay, now I have this on because Twitch raids. It's the only reason I have the speech chat on things. That's the main reason you're getting all these. Alright. Howdy, folks. Cody here with IronVerse Comics, and we're going to be chatting some One Piece. Read 100 volumes of something. I don't usually do that. So we're going to be talking about that. Talking a little bit about the arcs. I'm going to spend a good chunk of time. In fact, I might show the whole scene, because screw it. About the moment that hooks people into One Piece. At least it's a very consistent, from what I saw, the moment's exceedingly consistent with recruiting people to continue reading. But it is a good chunk in there, isn't it? Yeah, it is part of the first saga, but it is the 5th arc in it. So there's a lot of rough kind of seas there until you get to that point. But everything is building to that. Basically everything. And so we're going to chat about that when we get there for a good chunk of time. And we'll go from there. So I guess I'm just going to hop into it. I just don't want to forget something. There we go. Yeah, that should be it. Okay. Howdy, howdy, dollar coins. Can I get it? I bet there's a way to do this. Let me look. So I think the welcomes are coming from this. The welcomes are a little much, isn't it? I'm still gonna do it twice because it's sending it from. Okay, I just caught it running 0 bits. I was like, what? Okay. Guess I'll get rid of the welcome messages. I'll keep the follower ones, the rating ones, and the sub ones. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Oh, I hope you folks are doing well. Yes. Start at the beginning, no? This probably would have been better structured as like a ramble video that then is cut into pieces and puts examples of the work, as we go through it. No, it's an edited video instead of a live stream, but it's just so much more work. I will probably be doing that for my read-throughs of Battle Angel Alita, which is my next big tackle. But I wanted to do this while it was fresh, and then I will eventually, after Angel Alita, get to a reread of One Piece and see if I feel the same about it. But it started where everybody kind of starts, at the beginning. In this case, I ended up with a 3-in-1, which I kind of prefer most of the time, just because it's easier to carry around and there's more content if you need it. I have not read the one-shot that then became One Piece called Romance Dawn, I think it was. So I can't comment on the differences. But we can start at the beginning, which is just a very cool way to present your world and main point, and even just to underline why you called the book what it is, The Execution of Gold Roger. Or as we eventually find out, Gold D. Roger. He's a notorious pirate. You might even think he's a real bad guy. In fact, I can guarantee I did when I first started. You don't know much about him, but he's a pirate, right? We have those cultural biases inbuilt. He doesn't look like the friendliest individual by the smile, the smirk as he's getting executed, right? So it sets a tone. And we get our explosive, everybody's all stoked. We hear, the world's in a state of transition. First page. Not surprisingly, the final words he spoke before they lopped off his head inspired adventurers throughout the world to sail the seas. And then, of course, he mentions the One Piece because he was the first to circumnavigate their world. Oh, they animated the one shot as well. Right on, Dollar Coins. I had no idea. I'm gonna have to look into that. And then boom, we get the big old splash page. Characters we haven't even met. We get a vibe of the designs. Not a big fan of this particular big wide goofy Luffy. He always stays goofy, but he ages so well throughout the series. And then we're introduced to our main character, right? He wanted to gently introduce us to the world and the carrot on the stick, right? For why you're fighting, like, what is the One Piece? Boom, right away, first page. What is this drive that everyone's going to be chasing? It's a unity factor as well, because everybody wants it. It's a very cool way to do it. Then we get some idea of his artistic. God, why is this doing that? Oh, I know what it is. My backing light's behind the webcam. So I'm going to do this, and then you get the shadow. Let me see. I don't like the camera angles much. Like, not even close, but it solved that issue. Okay, I'll deal with this camera angle. I'm just going to be looking way over here now. Guess what I can do is I move this over here. Up is a little bit better. I guess I'll look up. Okay. But you get an idea of some character designs. You get a cute cow and the little small harbor village. A year ago, a pirate made its village its face. The wind blows from the east. Hey, Luffy, what are you up to? And here, and then our first introduction to Luffy. It's funny he has that face long before he is the Rubber Man. Oh, howdy, Jacob the Aussie. Yeah, I don't plan to. I don't plan $2 coins, and if this stream invites us spoilers, it's too bad. Camera. Focus! Okay. The first introduction there is him carving up under his eye. Like, what? Why? Right? It's supposed to be a hook. Like, what? It's still there. Okay. It's just not as bad. And like, why? Right? That's our introduction. Bunch of people freaking out. What'd you do that for? And then he gets a talking down to by his mentor, right? As a kid, if not a mentor directly, a mentor indirectly, as in like his idol, Shanks, who we have criminally underseen throughout these 100 chapters that I've read, but still leaves this incredible impression, just like he does with Luffy himself. We get the whole idea of the straw hat presented, all that fun stuff in this first little chunk. We get an idea of the characterizations, kind of humor you can expect, the design, right? And within this first chapter, if I remember correctly, we get our first big lesson to Luffy on what makes Shanks a captain. Yep, with this asshole. Fuguma the bear. Shanks is very happy-go-lucky the whole time, and he's being treated like shit. And then after that, I killed 56 people, mostly fools like you. I'm a wanted man. It's a very Japanese way to present things. Like, my status is greater than yours, so you bow the fuck down and should be scared of me. They felt confident saying that. It's a very Eastern way to present yourself. But nonetheless, it works, right? And then Shanks is just, he takes all of it. And Luffy's like, what the hell? He made you look like a weakling. Why didn't you fight him? And then we get our first lesson. The first point Oda wanted to make. basically after Luffy steals the Gum Gum fruit by accident, because he's always been a hungry boy. I mean, Garp's grandson, right? Um, Rubber Boy. Where's that lesson? Oh, it's right there. It's presented. It gets reiterated later, if I remember right. But it's that. When you grow up, maybe you'll understand. You just got some grog on. That's all. Needless killing doesn't make you a man. Which is a great point, because Shanks could have annihilated him in a second. But he's like, wasn't worth it. But if I remember right, the bear comes back and starts crap. And then Luffy's like, why didn't you do that earlier? And it's because my own personal stuff, like, I can float with that. But if you're hurting my family, my crew, my friends, it's a bigger deal. Yeah, Luffy goes after the guy. It has been a while since I read this, so I'm kind of catching up at the same time. Not safe to point guns. There we go. That's when it's reiterated. Good reason or not, nobody hurts a friend of mine. And that becomes Luffy's credo for the entire run, right? And his unique perception on what a friend is reiterated quite a bit, and we'll get to that. It's part of the East Blue Saga. That is what I got this whole list of this. Get out of here! I'm not looking at games. One of this particular. I guess that's the Romance Dawn arc. It's not. I don't know how long it lasts. There's a bit more to it. We get to see how badass Shanks and his crew are. And then we get to see the big self-sacrifice for the next generation, as he later reiterates to Whitebeard. So this isn't supposed to be kind of a retrospective for new folks, right? There's going to be spoilers. There's going to be a lot of particular bits that just people won't understand. But if you've read One Piece, or you have any interest, maybe this will pique your interest. But nonetheless, my point is, and I'm not going to show everything. That's just one of the most crucial moments as well, and what makes One Piece so incredible is these small things that carry out through its entire length. The Straw Hat gift. And then that resonates later with Nami. Which, that part we're going to spend a good chunk on. That is like the most important part I wanted to talk about. Basically, of everything I read. Simply because it was the first time that I could easily find a moment within a work, a specific moment within a work that resonated with so many people and got them to be fans. A lot of the time, like, oh, I just like this whole work, so now I'm a fan and I can't wait to see the rest, right? Or the first chapter was so good. Like, Battle Angel Alita's first chapter is incredible. It's a great hook. Berserk does the same thing pretty damn well. It's a great hook. It's besides the art style is why a lot of people stick with it until it gets really deep. With One Piece, it's those little moments. It's like, okay, that's cool. And then Luffy stays kind of a selfish prick for a good chunk of time. He's fun, he's confident, but like he's harder to like as a protagonist for like until what we're going to talk about, which is the Arlong Park arc, and particularly the midpoint, or yeah, I'd say the midpoint, because I would think the fight that ensues afterwards takes quite a long time. But the rest of this, I think Orangetown is meeting Zolo, isn't it? Okay, it talks about it right here. Yep, Zolo, and that's fun. It's fine. You get a good impression of who Zolo is very quickly, and very well to very all honor and what he kind of wants to do and how skilled he is. Very great introduction to the second crew member, and then you get more of like why Luffy's so confident that his willingness to tackle any situation head on. Out of sheer confidence that he is going to be king of the pirates. He's going to lean into his dream as hard as possible whenever it's called for. Uh, and that's his strongest characterization at the beginning, but he gets better. He gets better. I'm gonna say Zolo because I've tried Zoro in the anime and it bugs me, and I've read Zolo for 100 chapters. So, uh, if you folks feel like correcting me, great. It doesn't mean I'm going to correct it. I'm gonna call him Zolo. I prefer that because Zoro's pretty derivative, but it is what it is. That's good to know about Shanks. It's only 25 chapters out of 1,058. So please, nothing beyond chapter. God, what is it? It's in here somewhere. Oh, I left the bookmark. It's not in here. Is it 115 or 1015? Yeah, nothing beyond chapter 1015. Chains, if you will. Okay, that's the last I've read. Luffy is in the ocean, somehow speaking to Momo. Now that he can hear the voice of most things, so I would like no spoilers, and we probably won't get that far in this chat anyway, because I have much less to say about all of the other arcs that I'm going to talk about right here. And when you said that that's Orangetown is Nami, let me reference this, and this wiki could be wrong. But this is what I'm going to be referencing, so if I'm saying anything wrong, it's from this, okay? I didn't take notes on this read, I was enjoying the story. So I don't know the names of the arcs, and I don't really care. This is for you folks to follow along, and if it's inaccurate, just follow along from a link I'll place in the chat. Oh, because it's on this screen. Ah, it's so annoying. Why are you capturing that screen? So this is... So I'm going to be looking way to the right again. This is what I'm... Get out of the way. This is what I'm following. And it says Orange Town is this. But then this one says that it's romance arc. So obviously this wiki's not great. But I'm just following this. If I have the bits... I'm not a super geek for it, alright? So, like... I love a good story. So that's all that I really care about. The names, the characters, where they are. Like, I know One Piece fandom's incredible, but I'm not going to be participating at the level many of you folks have. I've literally been reading One Piece for maybe 6 months. So I don't have that dedication, and I tore through it mainly as a creator writer, not as a structural fan. So I'm going to follow this. This thing's wrong already because it references it twice. It says, oh, well, here's the key plot points. Monkey Luffy becomes a pirate, and then Zoro joins the crew. But then right here, it says, oh, on his first... I misread. You folks are going to have to bear with me. Correcting me is, again, fine. Just bear in mind, I probably won't follow the corrections. As long as, for me, communication is successful as long as the main point and reason for the communication is communicated, not the structure in which it is sent. And yeah, I know the fan base has been around for, God, 25 years or so. So, like, I get it. I'm going to do my best, folks, and I hope you will forgive me. I hope you will. Otherwise, if this is going to be annoying to you because you know better, well, I apologize. Again, this is my expression on my experience with it. It's not comprehensive anything. But yeah, I misread. And his first crew member, Zoro. So yes, it is at the end of the Romance Dawn arc that he meets Zoro. I don't really care about the names of the arcs. The main point was to get to him talking to his first crew member. If I'm going to spend the whole time correcting myself because of that, this is not going to be fun for anybody. Well, see, there you go, folks. Like, years people have been doing it. So, Bear with me. Bear with me, please. Um, I love Zoro's characterization. The introduction to Kobe is pretty neat. At least I think that's at that point, unless Kobe is later. Again, it's been 6 months, and I just have not stopped reading it, so it all blurs together, and I don't know when things happen. So that's the problem. This is supposed to be read over the time it's created, not binged together. Though it works very well binged together, it's just you won't have the same level of, well, now I gotta take a break and wait for the next thing to come out. It's like, no, I just tore through all of it. Uh, Very short breaks in between. Okay. And that's when Nami's introduced. And then Syrup Village shows up. Usopp. I mean, there's a lot more bits to get into. They're all good. I can't do a comprehensive guide on this thing. It's just too big. There's only a couple points I wanted to hit, folks. So I thought I'd go through the arcs and comment on each of them, but it's too much. It's far too much, and I'm just not gonna have fun with that. Because Usopp's fine. His role in the story is incredible. Nami's great. Her role in the story is incredible. If I focused on any one of those single characters, that's an entire couple hours to start off with. So my main point is to get to Arlong Park. I'm going to talk about the moment that hooks most readers. I want to talk about why I think a lot of readers have trouble with One Piece. I found a lot of people have some trouble with One Piece besides jumping in to this massive thing. It's also difficult. The exaggerated art style, until you understand why it works so well, it doesn't work that well. As a comedic kind of gag sense, it works very well. But that's not the that's like a third of what One Piece does. It's not. It's definitely not the central focus. Uh, and so that jarring of this extremely serious nature, like again, Shoja Shanks losing his arm right away in there, right? This bloody scene with Luffy just crying his heart out in the ocean with Shanks, who's saved him not only from drowning but from just overall death, right? At that point, from that crocodile, I want to say, um, is incredible. But it's very jarring compared to that gigantic smile Luffy had before he cut his face open, right? Um, and again, Luffy's pretty like there's points that you can really like him, but he's much harder to enjoy until that very specific moment in Arlong Park. Kobe and Zoro, okay, good, thank you. Because yeah, I remember Kobe, and Kobe takes a while to get any kind of interest either. It's kind of fun, and you see the bits, and you're like, it's neat. He has a rival who's on the other spectrum. It's neat, but like until he changes up what he's. I always get Sabo and Kobe mixed up. I don't know why. It's the same. Oda sometimes, and a lot of his women, which makes sense because I think he's drawing his woman, right? Um, have same face syndrome. Like no matter how exaggerated he makes his characters, a lot of the lesser designed characters, the ones that he kind of just puts in there, very similar. And by the time we re-meet Captain Kobe and we meet again, major spoiler, Sabo, but you won't figure that out till you're deep into it anyway. Re-meet him. Uh, Kind of same face, except he made sure that one of those characters has a massive scar. And that was the big difference. And he tries to change the outfits, but the face is very similar. Uh, Robin, if it wasn't for her nose, right, the square that he does on her nose, she'd look like 90% of the one he puts in there. And then later on, he changes her eyes a little bit. She looks younger later on, which I always thought was weird after the time skip, I guess. Um, just a lot of interesting choices to his art style as it keeps going, but I think it excels the most when he just feels completely free to design something fantastical, right? Just something completely exaggerated and crazy. When he's trying to draw kind of grounded folks, that's when he ends up making a lot of similar faces. Or if there's not a certain personality that he needs to convey through their look, they end up looking very similar. Uh, and so in my mind, that's become a thing. But okay, so Kobe and Zoro, Zolo. I'm gonna use Zolo. I've been reading that for 6 months. You're just gonna have to bear with me. um, have that trouble. Don't have that trouble, but have been introduced by this point. And then we meet Nami. Introduced at this point. Where did that say spoilers? Oh, and you guys don't see any of this anymore. This is bothersome. I thought this was going to be more fun. This is disappointing. I'm not showing the books anymore, so I think I can do this. Let me skip this track because it's annoying. We already heard that one. Okay. Let me go through here. Watched and read One Piece same time as Berserk. What a mash for a young guy trying to dive into right into as a dropout with money to burn and all that. That would do it. All you did was watch fan subs from 2003 all the way to 2012. Afterwards, the anime just became another mainstream boring commodity. I could see that. But yeah, one of the reasons I never really decided to get into One Piece, I was introduced to it, as a kid through Shonen Jump, probably through Funimation primarily, right? It was pushed pretty hard, but it was never pushed as hard as Dragon Ball Z. Not Dragon Ball either, which pisses me off, but Dragon Ball Z. It was those exaggerated characters that, just did not appeal. But later on, Mr. Dollarcoin is here, kind of, I don't know, how you usually introduce me to manga is usually show me some really cool moments from it. I'm like, oh, what's that? And then I go back and read, and then One Piece I could stick through because I've read so many really messy manga that are messy from the beginning. Some of them pull together here and there and become pretty good. Some of them do not. For me, one of them that I'll always bring up, which sucks because I work in a very similar genre as the Weird Western, is Trigun. Nito's art style is really unique. His character designs are fun. His layouts are atrocious in a lot of cases, not always. And his dialogue flow and just narrative flow is rough. You get the idea of what he's conveying. You can read the story and enjoy the story, but it can be a headache. There's many times in Trigun where I've had to go back a page, what just happened? Okay, and then I'll go forward, there's a little more context here, but I still don't know. And then a couple more pages and be like, okay, that must have been. Not that this is what happened. It must have been what happened. Bothersome. That happens. The one I'm reading also right now as they come out, and I just finished the last reprint that they put out, is Shaman King. And he has a similar problem with narrative flow. What carries Trigun is Vash. 100%. The characterization of Vash carries that entire story. In manga form. In the anime, it's a lot clearer. You don't have the worries of his paneling and chaos that is Nito's brain. But in the anime, it flows a lot better, and that's probably where most of his fans come. You go to Shaman King, and there was a good chunk where it was competing on the levels of Yu-Gi-Oh! And quite a few others, and there's good reason for it. It's a very pretty book. He never has problems communicating layouts. His hyper-realism on technology combined with his very soft and clear character designs that can be pretty exaggerated, but nothing like Oda does. And his very clear characterizations carry Shaman King. The problem is he tried to compete with One Piece, and he tried to compete with Dragon Ball Z, and he tried to compete with those folks in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm sure. And he lost his vision a few times. You can see in the interviews with him that he lost his vision quite a few times. And you can feel that in Shaman King, where he wavers back and forth, and some chapters are really bad, very unclear and muddled, and feel like the action in particular is the thing that he's not great at, is shoehorned in, because he was trying to be a battle manga, which Shaman King could do, but it wasn't it certainly wasn't where he excels, and that sucks because that was the arena he was thrust into. Um, but as I've been reading, Yo is an incredible character. The conflict with Hal, like I don't hate Hal, and he's not a great like villain, but like I don't know. The where Shaman King excels is where he feels like he can deliver the proper message that he wants to. He can do the shamanic work. That's when it's really good. And he's still able to get those moments through at volume 28 or whatever, but it's getting rougher, and you can tell that it's heading towards its conclusion. Um, but my whole point in this is that One Piece, even through its rougher characterization of Luffy at the beginning, through its exaggerated art style that may not resonate with a lot of people, those are the main points I've heard that people are just like, I don't like Luffy. That started, or like it's just the art style's not for me. Those are the two main whacks I've heard about One Piece from folks who are otherwise usually like big manga fans. From folks who aren't manga fans and they're like, oh, this looks excellent, try to dive into the anime, the main complaint I hear is it takes forever to get anywhere, or that it leans very hard on suddenly the power of friendship allows us to beat these guys. I don't see it that way, but I've heard it that way, and I can see how people who aren't used to the tropes and conventions and can't see the point of that kind of storytelling having an issue with it, because that's a lot of what One Piece does. But that's the main bit, right? Is that it can get really hard to get over that, and it takes quite a few chapters to get to a point where it's like, oh, this is something incredible. And that's the main point I wanted to talk about. Dragon Ball was long over by the time One Piece and Yu-Gi-Oh started, both manga and anime. Okay. I remember reading in an SBS that Oda felt like he was competing with Toriyama. Now, that could mean his spirit, right? Like the impact Toriyama left, but that's all I need to mean as well, what I'm talking about. Again, like, yeah. if if I'm just spewing bullshit to you and I don't know my stuff, then this is probably not the stream for you. Because maybe I am. That's okay. If folks can bear with me, we'll all have a better time. I have no interest in Demon Slayer. I have absolutely zero interest in Demon Slayer. I've tried it a couple times. I have no interest in Demon Slayer whatsoever. I don't like the art style, the storytelling that I've begun on it. I don't like. I don't like Demon Slayer. That doesn't mean that it's not good, and it doesn't mean that I won't like it later. But where I am now, I have no interest. Just like Naruto, right? I have no interest in Naruto. That doesn't mean it's good, or it isn't good. Of course it is. It kicked tons of ass for a long time. It's just I have no interest in the character designs. I have no interest in the comedy that I've seen through Naruto. It's just okay. It could be really good. I don't know. I've tried Hunter x Hunter a couple times. I haven't figured out why it's so good. I've watched videos and videos of people explaining why they think it's so good, and those points I agree with, but I never saw any of that in my initial journey, so why push through? There's a lot of that stuff, so maybe one day, but I don't know. I stopped Yu Yu Hakusho. What? Okay, I'm turning off VoiceBot. He is not helping this go. He's just he's just getting in the way. I stopped that during the Demon Tournament, right? And that's like the big epic fucking. That's the point where most people say it's at its best. So different strokes, and it's different time periods when you come across work, even sometimes for the third or fourth time. That sometimes that time it'll work for you, but all the others it had no way of resonating with you, right? And I find there's a lot of that stuff for me. Again, where I was just talking about One Piece again. I was introduced to it many other times before this last time, and this last time I fucking went all in because it was incredible. Was it Tanjiro being annoying that turned you off to Demon Slayer? No, it was the whole tone from the start. Like, it's not my kind of thing. Like, I love Berserk. I absolutely adore Berserk, but it's toned from the beginning as well. I'm just kind of okay. Then Puck comes in, and then some dynamics are introduced. But the part with Berserk that keeps me going is the narrative flow from the artwork perspective is incredible. Um, the tone from the beginning is just like, ugh. If you're going to thrust me directly into suffering, I'm gonna have trouble with your work. That's just me personally. Um, that's the bit, right? It depends. That might just be the initial hump, and he needs to communicate those notes to you as a reader before he can do the greater work, right? Just like One Piece, right there, he had to convey quite a bit before he could do this grander bit. Same with Berserk, is he's trying to figure himself out throughout the entire Black Swordsman arc, and then he knows what he needs to do after that, and then you're just left with this incredible masterpiece. From then on, there's some rougher bits, but at the end of the day, fucking incredible, even unfinished. Um, but that was the thing with Demon Slayer. It's just the went straight into that. I'm just like, oh no. I gotta have some positive resonance with a work, whether it's a character design or it's a small communication you did before the suffering, for me to care about the suffering, for me to be involved enough to write it out with those characters, right? Um, that's my bit through most all of the work that I've read. I can't think of most. Like Guts is a badass from the beginning, right? Uh, so he's not really suffering, but by the end of the Black Swordsman arc, you know who this person is to a point, and then boom, Golden Age arc, you are just like, oh, this is who this person is, and why this was this, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds to an incredible crescendo with the eclipse, right? Um, and that has ungodly amounts of suffering and horror and darkness, but I can get through it. I have this grounding, I have this rigid stone of strength, this pillar, this thematic point in which to push forward off of, whereas Demon Slayer did not provide that to me quick enough, and I'm a very impatient person, so that doesn't mean it doesn't provide it quick enough for like 99% of folks who will encounter it. But for me, yeah. With One Piece, like, Luffy is annoying for a good chunk of it for me. He's not terrible, but he's a little annoying. But how he interacts with Zoro is the first hint of like, oh, this is interesting for me. And then this is the scene. And this is the scene I want to talk about, folks. And then basically I'll be done about talking about this for today. I wanted to get further. I wanted to get all the way to Kaido, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's just too much. I bit off far more than I could chew, as I found out here just trying to go through the different characters that were introduced in the first arc, or the first saga, as it's called in the wiki, the East Blue Saga, right? Even just trying to get through that is too much. So I just want to get to this. This was kind of important because I came across it again after I had finished chapter 10-15 there. And people will recognize this, and it's the thing too that, like, this is where people decide to stick with the anime as well. So we'll just get to it. Let me be able to share that, which means I'm going to be looking, and it doesn't matter, I'm not sure. We go over here. Oh, come on now. Let me grab this and move it. Thank you. Tech hurdles, folks. Tech hurdles. Yeah, Togashi has serious health issues. Yes, like he can't even get up. That's in a lot of cases, from what I heard. That's why Hunter X was not canceled, hiatus, right? Near permanent hiatus. But he decided, you know what? I want to finish the story. Maybe I want to make some more money, and I feel okay enough to give the attempt, right? That's very, very brave of that individual to do. But yeah, he's working on 20 chapters since Twitter. Yes, I had seen that. It seems quite motivated, because I know a lot of people, like Yu Yu Hakusho was a big deal, because again, as Dollar Coins was saying, those are some of the anime that were less of a commodity, right? They were before that time where it was mainstream and crazy. And so a lot of people, Hakusho was a big grounding. Again, I really liked Hakusho. And then I got bored with it. And I can't tell you why. It's been so long since I watched it. But like I got to that part and he's about to fight the big burly fucking crazy designed guy. Or maybe he even fought him at that point, I think. And then the crazy witch lady was going to do something. It's been forever. But I liked it. It was a good cruise. It kind of felt like Shaman King in that it was a completely different story until it hits its tournament arc. And then I'm like, oh, okay. How are you going to handle this? Toriyama, I never had problems with his tournaments. The closest tournament arc that I saw in One Piece, and there's kind of two of them, right? The first one that I remember, and there might be another one, is the Foxy Pirates, right? It's just a big wacky racers Hanna-Barbera kind of story, and I love that take on it, right? And then the second one is the gladiatorial arena in Dressrosa, and that was pretty good because it was used as a vehicle to set everything else up. It wasn't the end-all be-all like it is in Shaman King, where it's like, well, this is the whole point of the story. I'm just like, well, it's not, but you certainly are presenting it that way, which makes all the stuff that is really cool and great points of your story just a little overshined. But yeah, there might be another one that I'm forgetting in One Piece, but I think those are the only two I can kind of consider that, which is the gladiatorial arena and Dressrosa, and then and that's basically just a side story as well, right? That's just what Lucy is doing, whereas the Foxy Pirates wasn't work. And again, I think he just wanted to have a fun breather after all the other shit that came before. And I think he accomplished that. It's goofy, it's pretty dumb, but, you know, I like it. The slow fruit was a great concept. I would hate the ant art in Hunter x Hunter. I wouldn't be surprised if I would. Okay. I could see that. Puck making Yoda references is always a delight. Oh, I agree. Puck is an absolute delight and is so very necessary to that story. Parts without him do exactly what they need to do, but man, by the time he returns, right? And then when Guts fucking finally lightens up and literally talks about how he's no longer just swinging his sword for himself and how it's become heavier because of that, and now he needs help. That whole tonal shift in Berserk is incredible, and I loved seeing it, and it still remains just an incredible amount of character growth, where he slightly lets Griffith go. It's really great. I'm hoping that the quote-unquote new team can finish the story in a way that works very well. I haven't read, I think they've released one chapter so far, haven't they, or so? Through that. I haven't read it. I'm only caught up to volume 40 in the English releases, just like I'm only caught up to One Piece's volume 100 because English printed releases. I've read much manga digitally. The number one has been Hajime no Ippo. I've read a lot of that. That's not the number one. The number one was Innocent and Innocent Blood. I couldn't stop fucking reading that, and you cannot get a hold of that in English. That was a hell of a ride. But Hajime no Ippo also you can't get on, except for fan translations, right? So digital is the only way to read that. But if I can get a hold of a series, especially if it's a long series, I wanna have it. Like I would much rather be buying Hajime, like no question. But so anywho, let's get to that moment. The moment that hooks most people to One Piece. Let's get to that moment. I've heard a lot about Rurouni Kenshin also, yeah. So let me get to this moment. So we go here. Boom, and people will recognize this if you're a One Piece fan. But this was the moment I was hooked on One Piece. Like, I enjoyed it. I was like, this is fine. This is good. I like these characters enough. Luffy's starting to grow a little bit. Usopp, I get his point. He becomes a great sense of release and interaction. Feels like one of Luffy's first friends he found on the sea in terms of people who can resonate with his childishness. Whereas Zoro's very serious, very, like grounded, but exceedingly loyal. If everyone else left Luffy's side for other reasons, Zoro's going to be there, right? Zoro's going to be there. And we get that also when Usopp leaves over the merry-go, breaking apart. That was one of his best moments also. But this right here. So we're going to actually mute this sucker. Okay. And we're going to watch the whole scene. Now, as a One Piece fan, you know what has happened to build up to this moment. But this is the first time Luffy really feels like a captain to me. There's other bits where it's good, but this is it. Like, this is the one. After everything that you've read or watched up to this point, this big reveal here, that you kind of knew was coming. You were never given any reason to trust Arlong, and I don't know why Nami thought she could. Hope, I guess. And the fact that if she didn't, bad things would happen, right? Well, she just found out bad things are going to happen forever.
知らないくせに8年間この島で何があったのか知らないくせに。
ああ、知らねえ。
あんたには関係ないから島から出てきって言ったでしょ。
ああ、言われた。
出てけ、あんたなんか出てけ、出てけ、出てけ、出てけ、出てけ、出てけ、出てけ、出てけ。
俺の宝物に触るな。
ルフィ。
So.
行くぞ。
So good. So, I mean, there's so much to break apart with that moment. But that's how you can get a fucking reader base. It built up so strongly to that moment with Nami's desires. You as a reader know them. Luffy doesn't quite know any of that. He just knows the Nami he met, right? He just knows the Nami that served on his crew. Quote unquote. She was never on his crew at that point, right? At least for what she said. But that's all he knows. But the point of the matter, is that none of that matters to him. It's just that a friend is in trouble. He doesn't know any of these things. He's just a kid. He knows all he can do is fight. So what I want to go through is what I collected after I watched that. Again, as a comic creator, I want to know how to create moments that hook readers. And this was the moment that a lot of people became hooked. So we're going to go through these comments I took out from the YouTube video. It hurts way more when you remember that up to this point. Nami tried countless times to steal from them. Yes. And now Luffy just gives her his biggest treasure that he would die for, no matter what. Absolutely, that meaningful. It was all action. That's what matters to Luffy. You see that throughout the entire series. It's all that matters is who you are and whether you're a friend or an enemy. He's a very binary guy. So if you're not trying to kill him, you're likely his friend, right? That's about his line. He may not like go out of his way to destroy something or whatever for you to the same level. He has degrees of friends, his crew coming first, right? And we see that reiterated when after Dressrosa, all the gladiators and other captains, right, try to join the Straw Hat crew with their loyalty cups. He's like, no, I don't want to lead all of this. They're like, well, what if we just do it anyway? He's like, oh, okay, well, as long as I don't have to do anything. It's great. But it's this beautiful interplay of this very strong young woman who had fought her whole life to take care of the things that mattered most to her, sacrificed her whole life, and thought that she was strong enough and powerful enough and that she had a goal that she could reach that would liberate not only herself but everything she cares for from the reach of that cruelty. I don't know how she really thought that cruelty would ever let go of her, even if it hit that, but that's kind of explains that, like, what other choice did she have? She was so little when she made that decision. And it also gave her a chance at her other dream, which is, draw the whole world. And so all of that came crushing apart when Arlong decides, oh yeah, no, you're starting over again, and it doesn't matter. And so she's like, I took this brand upon myself. I joined this horrible thing that I just compromised my soul again and again for in order to survive and possibly save the things I love the most, as I was saved as a child by the woman who loved me the most. All of that builds up to that point, and then you see how she interacts with Luffy with that deviousness, and she tries to push him away at first because she doesn't want to drag this other person into this hell of what she feels like is her own making. But as she thinks on it, and she thinks on everything that she had been through with those four individuals, and particularly Luffy, right? She's just like, well, I have no other option. I am not strong enough to do this alone. I thought I was, but it is just not possible. And that breaks her, and she asks for help. And Luffy, no hesitation, realizes that, damn right we're gonna do it. Damn right. It gives her this thing, that matters the most to him, to show that we've got you. You are my greatest treasure. My crew, my family is my greatest treasure. You are part of that. So we will go and kick some ass for you against, at that point, is incredible odds. These superhuman fucking mutant fish guys, right? Biting through walls, crushing things like that. That remains a trope throughout the whole series, right? Fishmen. But and when they build up that in the Fishman Island arc, is kind of interesting. How Arlong became Arlong is kind of interesting. And the fact that Nami's able to let that go is an incredible statement that fits perfectly with the Fishman Island statement of not carrying the past and pushing it on your children so that it becomes this endless cycle of conflict and hate. Just a wonderful mix that Nami's just able to let go of that with the correct answer. But anyway, it's that moment, man, that hooked people again and again. You'll see it again and again throughout this. Skip a couple of this so we get the different stuff. I'm going to get rid of you, chat, on this window just so you can read this text a little bit better. But this is where I cry every single time. Watch the start, the symbolism, the meaning behind Luffy's gesture gets him all, or her all. Here's a big one. This scene in the anime truly defined Luffy as a character as well as the fight that followed. I almost didn't get into One Piece because Luffy was so annoying to me. He's loud, idiotic, selfish, always demanding, and completely out. But this made my jaw drop when I saw it. useless. He knows all that about himself. He knows that he's a child both physically and mentally. He knows that he cannot be known for being super smart like Nami or as skilled as Sanji or Zoro. And he accepts that. He can't use a sword, he can't navigate, he can't shoot a slingshot or a cannon, he can't cook. On his own, he's useless. All he can do is fight, and he will do a damn good job doing it too. It's amazing to see that he divides the crew to certain job titles despite them all being able to fight, because in the end they are his family. They help him with absolutely everything. So when the time comes that they're emotionally ruined and in need of a hand, he'll place that hat on their head and help them with their problems. 2.9 thousand people liked that comment. That was the other bit I kind of, because like these are just comments on YouTube, right? Like, it's not this big gonna show you everything kind of deal. And I didn't cherry pick these specifically built on numbers, but this is a pirated scene cut from a story placed online that One Piece fans found resonate with so strongly and decided to tell their stories, or that they also had a similar story and liked how that was phrased. 43 replies as well. I love how Luffy never cares about a person's past. Once he makes a friend, that's it. He'll fight to the death to protect them, to give them happiness. That's the kind of person I struck. 7.6 thousand likes. Luffy placing his hat on her head is just great. It's his way of saying you are important to me and I will protect you. And the damn right scream afterwards just sends chills down my spine, as if it's a given that he will protect her. Less likes, but I appreciate the phrase. Fun fact, when drawing this scene in the manga, Oda kept redoing it until it made him cry. I'm not sure that's true, but I would put it past a creative. Almost 10,000. One of the most powerful scenes in anime history. It broke my heart when Nami's having a breakdown and keeps hurting herself. It reminds me of myself. When Luffy puts his hat on her, I suddenly burst into tears. Just so much overwhelming emotion in that scene. This hits different when you realize the fact that Luffy doesn't judge someone based on their tragic past help. If you want help, just say it in front of his face, and knowing that Nami's story during Arlong arc was indeed tragic in her backstory. And Luffy refuses to listen to these things. If you are his friend, just say you want help, because he won't hesitate to risk his life to save you. Go away. Luffy's eyes still won't help me. Luffy's eyes can't be seen. Like, she's got it up until that point. Like, he's waiting for her to realize that they're there for her, or that they're there for her. I love the symbolism of the hat being Luffy's treasure. Nami's treasure is her town and the people in it, and she isn't trusting her biggest treasure, Luffy. Yes, she is. Luffy then trusts her to take care of his treasure, the same way Nami is trusting him. 5.2 thousand likes. Definitely my favorite scene. The way he stops her from hurting herself, stays with her even though she's pushing him away, and waits for her to ask for help. Then the cutscene to the squad waiting on standby was so badass. This was when I realized One Piece was lit. Sorry, my scroll wheel was up. Did I post that twice? I did. I can delete that one. So I just kind of wanted to, part of the reason I also did those comments, broke them out and sent them out, is as a creator, having that hook moment, this moment in your work where you subvert expectations, but not so much that it feels broken, that you twist the reader's arm, you twist your character's arms, and you leave them in a place of, is everything going to go wrong? Or can something be done? And you're able to do that with respect, and then you can follow it up with this amazing level of reassurance. And then, of course, throughout the fight, it's not assured. They get their asses kicked for a good chunk of time, right? Luffy almost drowns many times to the point where somebody had to drag him out while he's being held by anchor, right, by I don't remember if it's his, I think it's his feet. They have to pull his gum ass out of the fucking water and give him mouth to mouth. And he's still not out of the water, right? Because they can't lift that shit off of him or whatever it was that was weighing him down. The whole fight, everyone, Sanji, Zoro, everybody gets their asses kicked. But all for Nami's sake, because she's their family. That's when I knew that this series would have an incredible message about found family. That's a very common trope, because we're always, many of us are born without a true family. We may have blood, we may have relatives, right? But family is a different concept, and this one made sure to communicate it in a way that, just beautiful, and it reinforces it throughout everything I've read so far. It's not always the strongest note it's trying to hit, but it is quite often. You look at the trio of Sabo, Ace, and Luffy. Found family. Garp as well, right? In fact, most of our characters didn't actually have fathers and family that was around. Usopp, his dad was gone. Still is gone. Zoro, it was his sensei, who was his found father, right? And then his little sister, or big sister, that kicked his ass until tragedy. Sanji, and the chef, and the Verity, the whole boat, the whole crew, right? Found family, not his actual family, which we meet later in Whole Cake and Germa 66 being kind of shit, to say the least. Robin, the giant, that was one of her few friends besides the scholars, and that relationship, to the point that, like, I know everything's taken away from you about giant speeds, but you will find the people. You will find your people out there. Survive. And she does. And we get to see that all through Water 7, which that moment on the rooftops with CP9 between her and them, and Luffy just asking if she wants help again, very much like here, right? Do you want to live? One Piece's emotional resonance with that thesis of found family is incredible and very much needed. Very much needed. Okay, let me catch up on chat. Yes. Yeah, he doesn't think much. It's part of how Oda also tends to do things, right? He characterizes his characters in every way that he can. Their dances, movements, their voice choices, their laughs, anything that can add just a touch more personality to it, he'll do it. And in Luffy's case, that's exactly what it is. You'll get some internal thoughts, but usually it's like something simple like I'm hungry, or what was that, or grr, right? Like, there are thought bubbles within One Piece, but they're not like eternal, like big thoughts. They're just like observation on the situation. That's all I ever see. Or this guy is tough, right? It's never any kind of actual interior dialogue with himself. Luffy doesn't think like he does. It's pretty incredible. Arlong arc is literally every arc in DLC. Oh, the way I described it, interesting. I think you folks are talking about Demon Slayer. Oda won't kill off his characters at the end. I don't think so. He's also one of the few authors who actually takes the time to celebrate his characters' victories. I can't tell you how much that is needed. You go through this roller coaster that he throws you through on basically any of these arcs, and most of them, if there was a logical opportunity for it, they have a fucking party. Like they have a celebration of how far they came and what they accomplished, which not only feeds into the pirate theme, of course, they're living their life, yo ho ho, and getting drunk and all that fun stuff, but it also gives the reader this huge level of catharsis that these people understand what they're accomplishing and they feel gratitude for being able to, and they're performing this, what is a ritual, it's a party's a ritual, to celebrate that. And it is sorely needed, and is needed in ways that don't trivialize the path before, and Oda's really good at that. What is it, when Jinbei comes back, they're gonna celebrate right away, right? On Wano, right? They're gonna celebrate right away, and then they realize, well, I guess now's not the time. We'll do it after the fight. So I still haven't seen that celebration. But that was one of the times like Oda's like, yeah, we'll even do that now because it's a new. Remember the crew actually coming in and joining. They're gonna celebrate. It's a really important thing that a lot of creators in any kind of long-going stories, particularly TV shows, do not do. They're like, well, they just want to see our characters going through trials. They don't need to see them, happy and things good. Even though Oda only does it, you need, 10 pages maybe of a celebration, right? Just so you can interact with the characters a little bit more in a lighter sense and stuff like that. Like, he doesn't do it all the time. He does it when a celebration should occur. It's really so many lessons, so many lessons. I don't know what story you're talking about, Dollar Points. Kimetsu. That's the other thing. So, like, a lot of One Piece's villains aren't that super deep, but they have a point, right? They all have a point. None of them have been evil just for evil's sake. Big Mom was kind of a tragic one where she's just kind of was always broken. She's a broken little girl. And so she's trying to put the world back together, how she sees it, how she sees it is broken, and she doesn't realize that, right? Kaido, I don't know yet. I just know he drinks a lot. That's literally his characterization. He's really powerful and he's a drunk. So far. I'm sure there's much more to it. Crocodile, he was pretty close to evil for evil's sake. But he wanted power. It was very it made sense within his character. Arlong was racist as fuck. That was basically his character trait. He was the oppressed racist, right? Fishmen are treated like shit. We don't really realize that till Fishman Island and the Celestial Dragons, right? Doflamingo, he was just always going to be a piece of shit. He's one of those, he had everything that could have gone good for him, right? Or could have been good lessons for the soul, and he just refused to acknowledge them because he was born better. And then his parents were shown that, they shouldn't have fallen from grace. There was no love to be found down there from the amounts of horror that the Celestial Dragons have leveled on everybody. And so Doflamingo feels like he was the victim of the world, so he just wants to destroy it, right? But none of them are super tragic. I don't feel terrible for any of them because they are choosing to be evil. They had a great. That's what it was. Shaman King I read today, where there was a great discussion on on good and evil between Luchist, which is he has Lucifer as his. It's probably super inspired by JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I know that's been going on forever. That's another one I've never gotten into because it just starts right into just horrible tragedy, and I know it from people who share it with me. It looks fun, but the beginning of it is just. Why am I watching this? But the shadows, or whatever you want to call them, spirit allies is what they call them in Shaman King. is Lucifer. It's Lucius and Lucifer. Then he's got his counterpart, which I forgot the guy's name, but then his Marco. It's Marco. Marco and Michael. And it was just a big discussion on false race, why the good go bad, and there's an inevitability and all that. And that true justice doesn't exist. A lot of tropes that are discussed in manga quite a bit. But, in fact, Oda does it in the background with how the admirals like define their justice symbols, right? When you look at any of their offices, it'll put a note below, because I don't read Japanese, that it's a certain type of justice that it says. Which is funny to me. You know, lazy justice was the ice admirals. He's not an admiral anymore. There's a lot of that he talks about as well, and Oda navigates the idea of good people in power in bad places, in terms of like the power itself is really dark. The whole world government, the whole celestial dragon setup, all that is just god awful, and with the very well done mirror, right? But putting Garp in there, right? Putting oh god, the Grav fruit general, I keep forgetting him, the blind man who just, he couldn't take seeing all these justice anymore, so cut out his eyes. Putting those people again, the ice admiral, who I'm just blacking out his name, but the one who saved Robin, right, as a child. These good people in positions of power that would otherwise order them towards darkness, still making good decisions. That is handled exceedingly well throughout everything I've read so far. Just a beautiful expression of that, because it's very easy to paint authority in general in a blanket darkness, because at the end of the day, it usually has caused much more, right? It has done unforgivable things. But Oda somehow makes you feel that there is still a light and a hope in that. The organization itself is not the problem. It's those in control of it. And that's really neat. I think he handles that beautifully, and I'm sure we're going to see more of that before the conclusion. I don't know Jutsu Kaisen either. I've said Bleach inspires Rasi, that's another one. Most series have multiple inspirations, yeah. Well, yeah. My Hero Academia is Eastern fucking X-Men. There's like, it's just, it fucking wears it on its sleeve, which is fine. Once One Piece and Shonen Jump is going to find themselves in a hotter seat than DBZ. Yeah. Yeah. Well, right now, Super's still going, man. Yeah. I gotta give it to Toriyama. How many times it is obvious that he was done, that they drug him back in, and he still made something meaningful out of that, even though you kind of tell his whole heart wasn't in it. Like, I give Toriyama all my love for coming back and doing things that he didn't really feel up to, and still doing something really good. And Super's one of those. I'm glad Super at least went a little bit more towards the gag manga style again than the later half of Z, right? It's neat. It's neat. I'm not a huge fan of Super. Dragon Ball, the original run, before it turns into Z. And I am talking about the manga. I know the manga never changes to Z, but that's the best marker point. You know, basically after he beats Piccolo, is fine. But before he beats Piccolo and the entire, Junior at that point, before he beats Junior, all of that I love so much more than anything that's come after. But Super at least tried to throw some more of the lightheartedness that I think was sorely lacking through the post-Junior Dragon Ball runs. It's there still. The art's really good. The conflicts are good. All of that. It's just it's a different beast that he somehow has continuously cobbled together and kept working very well. It's a very impressive feat. Kimitsu no Yaiba is Demon Slayer. Okay, well that's Crocodile just got hyped. Yeah! So I'm thinking part of his bit is that he's going to grow more. I mean, him helping Luffy in Impel Down was neat. Like, I liked that dynamic quite a bit, and it felt like he got humbled, right? Fucking Crocodile got humbled by Luffy. Whether or not he's the kind of person to admit it, right? He got his ass whooped. So he also feels like somebody who would recognize that, maybe not admit it, but would recognize it and then change because of it. I'm not saying for the better or worse, but he would change. And so I am looking forward to seeing what becomes of that. And with the dissolution of the Warlords of the Sea, because of Crocodile and because of Doflamingo, I'm very curious what this means. I also, of course, where I am in the manga, I have no idea what's going to come out of the Big Mom Kaido 2 Emperor alliance, but my hope is it looks like it's going to be stopped before it begun, which would be really cool. So we'll see. Yeah, see, he hasn't talked much yet about Rocks and Vegapunk. They literally showed one fucking panel of Rocks, right? And I'm not talking about the captain or whatever, the crew. Younger Big Mom, young Kaido. Like, that's all I've seen so far, so I have no idea. Kaido's characterization seems like it's going to come as Luffy's rising up to his challenge, right? So I haven't gotten there yet, because it hasn't been printed in English. One arc is the worst arc. He hates it. We'll still read it. Probably watch all the episodes too. Rate 5 out of 5, but still hate it. That's a great way to put it. I really enjoyed Wano, as far as I've read. Of course, again, I haven't finished it because it hasn't been printed yet in English yet. But I really liked Wano. Coming off of Whole Cake Island, which was rough at the beginning for me, like, and then it gets pretty good, and then basically once the turncoat third eye thing happens with Pudding, and then she turncoats again, I was in. Like, then Whole Cake Island, I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty good. I can groove with this. But up until around that point, I'm just like, okay. Okay, you just wanted to draw Candyland, didn't you? Evil Candyland. Okay. And he did. And he did well. And it was fine. By the end of Whole Cake Island, though, I really liked it. And then Wano started, and I've always liked the samurai guys. The reveal, the turncoat in those samurai reveal was a little forced to me. It made sense. Like, all the groundwork was there, right? And even the gag that made the character, like, stand out when you meet him, of him not being able to draw anything or paint anything really well, but that's his power, right? It made sense. It added layers to him. But I don't know, it felt sudden, but it made sense. It worked for me. It's just, there was something kind of like, oh, suddenly he's blah. I'm like, oh, okay. Instead of, oh, God, holy hell, that, I never saw that coming. It was more like, oh, okay. That's an interesting way to put your story. It didn't have the impact it could have, but it also maybe had the impact it needed, right? That was good. I always liked Kinemon. I liked him since they found him chopped up in Punk Hazard. Like, it was goofy. It shifted the tone a bit, and I can tell that he does this whole arc because it's Japanese pride, and you should have pride in your culture. And that maybe he has pride in his culture, but he's seen what it's become. And I'm talking about Oda. I really liked that. So I'm excited to see it conclude. I think I'm close. Again, I think the next volume doesn't come out till like November. So I'm going to be waiting for my next One Piece fix unless I want to bite down and go ahead and read the last 50 or so that I'm behind on through another means. But I've liked Wano. It's not even close to the worst. Akoji, thank you. Fujitora, thank you. I always forget those names. The warm yet somber, chilly voice that softly whispers One Piece. Super isn't published at Shonen Jump, and he's having more fun with than ever is what I guess with Dragon Ball. Well, good for him. He's loving working on the movies. Ironically, the live action movie pissed him off enough to make Battle of the Gods. Battle of the Gods was good. You're right. I can see him getting that pissed off because why even have the Dragon Ball license? Oh yeah, because he just wanted to make money. Like there was no other reason for the Dragon Ball license in that film. It's terrible. Feels pure GT. GT is now lore, if I remember right, because there's a multiverse now in Dragon Ball. Which works. Oh yeah, they're turning into little gods and they're facing higher levels of gods. Like he's taking those power creeps as far as possible and he's still keeping it entertaining. That's what I'm impressed with Toriyama. Like he makes amazing work out of what should theoretically be completely mess. Like the whole thing should be mess. I love it. Super solid, not as good as Z or the OG. Yep, I agree, but it's not terrible. No, I agree. It's the Super manga handout. I've never read the Super manga, so I can't say. But I've liked Super. I think I've watched all of Super that's been released in English because I can't stand the really high pitched lady who does Goku. I tried again and again, and I'm just like, nope. I'll just wait till the guy I'm used to dubs it. But I get it. The Super manga is different from the anime in some ways, with the arcs up to the top. Okay, I kind of remember that. Tournament of Tournament of Power. Yeah. Okay. Both the anime and manga had to follow Toriyama's outlines, but after Tournament of Power, its original arcs done by someone else. Oh, interesting. Okay. Whole Cake Island is severely underrated. It's ironic how people shit on current arcs. Then 2 or 3 years they call it the best arc since Marineford. I don't know if it was a good man. Marineford or the Paramount War, I guess, as it's listed in there, is incredible. I love that arc. But there's moments within, like, I like Water 7, the saga of Water 7 overall better than the Impel Down Paramount arc bits. I think it's emotional hits and all it does for the crew and everything. I like that a lot more because right when we finish the Paramount War, there's just so much like backtracking, and it's not the Paramount War's fault, but it's just what the transition was rough. But that's me. But Paramount War is so good. Impel Down, Paramount War is so good. So Kinemon is goated, especially yes. That I saw. Yeah, I think I saw up to that. The scabbards are I forgot what they called them. That's the red scabbards or whatever. Yeah. That was great. Kinemon is so good. In fact, that's one of the last big notes that I've read involves him. Right, his arc. I'm gonna say. Japan is quite nationalist in some parts of its culture. They elbow out or make it impossible for foreign startups to get a fat. Yep, that's true. I think I left off where Yamato is about to confront Kaido on the roof. Yes, that's exactly it. Yep. I went through his talk shit, get wrecked moment. Yep, that's exactly where I left off, Jacob. That is the last bit I've read. Toriyama is the epitome of throwing shit against the wall, and 90% of yes, it sticks, it works somehow. Yes, absolutely. That is exactly how I would phrase it, Jacob. It's exactly what I've seen. It's like, okay, I'm done. Oh, okay, I'm coming back. Cell Saga. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm coming back. Boo Saga. Okay, I'm done. And then he got a breather. They're like, fine, we'll release GT. And he's like, okay. And I like GT enough. And then they're like, could you come back? And he's like, yeah, maybe if you give me a bit. And he totally did. You'll like Moshoko Tensei. Jobless reincarnation. Reminds me of Full Metal with the main character powers. Interesting. Oh man, Full Metal Alchemist. Oh man. That's if you're gonna do like a punchy but very well fleshed out story, that's mine. Hi Lita, girl. You're probably hungry, huh? But yeah. Hour and a half, not bad. I hit what I wanted to. We actually did talk about more of the arcs a little bit. Just wasn't as rigidly as I expected, which is fine with me. Because again, if I try to do it rigidly, I am very much not going to be able to do it. Oh, let me see. Okay. He loved the baby art, but other than that, Toriyama never commented. Baby's pretty cool in truth. Yeah. I could see that. It's a neat villain, and the whole idea of the Saiyans, like, history coming back to to strike them once again. After Frieza obviously was the first time, but after Frieza, it's pretty neat. I liked it. Outside of the Straw Hats, what's my favorite character? That's a good question. It's a very good question. I have a lot depending on like what we're talking about. Like I really didn't like Fishman Island until Otahime showed up, and then how Oda laid out the thesis of the Fishman Island arc through her, incredible. It made me just adore that character. She's the first that comes to mind simply for that. But there's a lot of cool characters. It's a very big one. Like Buggy right now, I'm still waiting for no, he's no longer a warlord, so I'm kind of curious what's going to happen there. And then of course his biggest mercenaries, the new giant pirates, left him, and that's the last I saw of Buggy. Outside of Straw Hats, Orihime was the first one to come to mind. That's. I'm sure there's more. And technically, Vivi is a Straw Hat. Who do I like? Senor Pink came to mind just because it's so dumb. Senor Pink is fucking great. It's just so dumb. It's so good. Especially when he gives him a backstory. Like, even up to before he gives him a backstory. Oh, you're misbehaving now to get my attention. You know better. Yeah, you know better. You just want my attention. Okay, I'm gonna love what's. I was hoping because he was starting to build it up, right? He was starting to build it up, so I'm excited. I guess it would be Orihime. I know that's goofy. I like King Neptune. I like the whole fish family. I like even Shrimpy Hoshi, or Wimpy Hoshi, I think he calls her. The kings are all really well defined. I really like the toy soldier. I forgot the main character's name, but I really liked his arc and his story. On Dressrosa, right? I like Trafalgar. He's interesting, but most of my favorites are on the Straw Hats. It's hard to beat that. And right now, Luffy's my favorite Straw Hat. It alternates between Zoro and Luffy and Sanji. Nami gets some good moments after that. Then Robin is incredible, and Chopper serves his role very, very well. But yeah, I guess it would be that. Off the top of my head, there's some really good stuff. And trying to remember all of it too is tough. I'm sure I'm missing something I really, really liked. Shanks is great, but as we said earlier, he barely shows up, and somehow he leaves this amazing impression. Particularly his conversation with Whitebeard. That's a big one. Of I gave it up to the new generation. It's fucking great. Whitebeard was really good. Ace was really good. So yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. Senor Pink is the GOAT. Definition of a real man. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Let me see. Editor, what's this? An old man and a fat robot? Who's going to be scared of these guys? Toriyama makes 17 and 18. Two punk kids. Who cares? Do something better. No one cares about that. Makes sense. Ironically enough, Super just did an arc where one of the antagonists is a survivor of a sane slaughter. That also was okay. Interesting. You're not fucking love what's coming. Oh, yeah, heard that. Even with Cell, he was forced to change his designs by the editor twice. I'm gonna have to get off this stream because this dog is just being way forceful. I can't really get her to stop. She's eating napkins and stuff because she's misbehaving to get my attention. But yeah, Senior Pink, GOAT, definition of a man. Cell's second form was supposed to be his final form, but the editor hated it, so he made Toriyama create the perfect form. That's fine. All right, folks, but I do have to sign off, or else this kid's just gonna get worse. So give me a few, and thank you so much for joining me. And we might do another one of these at some point, but I kind of just want to put the ideas down. Particularly, I want to talk about that scene, so it sticks in my head better as I create the Nami hat scene, because that was the moment. And as a creator, we should all have some kind of moment. Does One Piece in your top 10? Or oh yeah. Hunter x Hunter is pretty much Tagashi's massive tribute to Dragon Ball, but doing his own spin. Interesting. All right, folks, I do have to go. She's not gonna listen, and she needs to. I mean, I'm behind on feeding, so. But I don't want her getting sick by eating paper either. So yeah, I'll catch you folks later. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, and catch you next time. Adios, amigos.